Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Marksmen Challenge Workbench tutorial series. This episode will be showing you how to upgrade the live and spent primer chutes on the Dillon 650. As you can see with the live primer chute, the problem is you have a small ramp here coming down to a very tiny tray, and the issue is the primers come down the ramp, hit the tray, and flip out onto the floor. And with the spent primer catcher, they tend to bounce out. I've tried putting tape over this hole in the front, and that doesn't help. They just bounce out the back side. So what we're going to do is replace the spent primer catcher and the live primer tray with the following upgrades. I bought the live primer catcher with a small bottle and the spent primer catcher with a large plastic jar from didntupgrades.com. Both shipped were around a little over $50. What you're going to need to do the project will be a small drill bit. Doesn't really matter what size, just something small to make it easier to start a pilot hole. Then you're going to need a 13/64 drill bit and a 3/32 Allen wrench, a drill, and then I printed out the instructions from the didntupgrades.com website also. The instructions are very clear, a lot of good pictures, very easy to understand and follow. So to get started, first thing we need to do, take off this tray. And we'll start by replacing the live primer chute. I've already taken off the spent primer chute just to make it easier to see what we're doing with the live primer chute. You're going to need a 9/64 Allen wrench to remove the two existing screws that hold on the original primer chute. The new primer chute has its own screw, which is a little bit longer, works better for this primer chute, and there's only one that's used. Now for the bottle, I just wanted to see for reference how many primers this would hold, so I filled it up with primers. That's about 80 primers that pretty much fills up the whole bottle. We will now take our 9/64 Allen wrench to take the two screws out holding on the existing primer chute. Once we have that off, we will take the new primer chute and the screw that came with it, which is a little longer so it works a little better on this chute. You screw it into the rear hole of the two holes that held on the existing original primer chute. And once we get that screwed in there, snug it up, and you're done. That's all there is to it. I've decided to go ahead and put the original screw back in the first hole. It doesn't go all the way in, it bottoms out, so I just snugged it up and left it there. It's not going to go anywhere. Once that's done, we'll take the primer bottle, screw it into the adapter, and that's it. You're done. Time to move on to the spent primer catcher. Due to technical difficulties, I'm not going to have any video for this next section, so I will just use the pictures that came with the instruction manual from didntupgrades.com. The first thing you need to do is take a 3/32 Allen wrench to loosen the spent primer cup bracket. You need to loosen it enough that you have room to slide the funnel that came with the new primer catcher into the slot on the bracket. You'll want to line up the funnel with this screw, as you can see in this picture, so that it is lined up underneath the hole the primers drop through. Once that's done, we're ready to install the bottle. Before I start installing the jar for the primer catcher, a little side note on these strong mounts. The instructions mention an 8.5-inch high strong mount. They also mention a 6-inch high strong mount. The strong mount that I have with my Dillon is 6 3/4 inches high. The difference being that the hose that comes with the primer catcher from didntupgrades.com is cut to length to fit the 8.5-inch high strong mount. If you have one that's shorter, 6-inch or 6 3/4 like mine, you're going to need to cut the hose down a little bit to make it fit better. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is decide on where you want to mount the jar so you can drill the holes. The jar itself that came from didntupgrades.com comes with a little template, as you'll see in the picture here. You can put that on to mark your holes. The only question is, how high do you want to have it? The main thing you want to do is make sure that you have enough distance that you can get your jar out from under the lid once you have it mounted. So I recommend put the jar into the lid, put it up onto the side of the mount, make sure you can unscrew it all the way and take it out, put it back in easily enough without having any difficulties. Once you've got that done, you have your height. I'm going to center it over the hole that's already in the Dillon itself. So I'll just take the template, stick it over there. You can see the hole. I'll make a mark on here so that you can actually see the hole where it's at on the template. Once that's done and you're happy with it, then you just tape the template on here. You can use anything to stick it on. It doesn't have to look pretty. It just needs to stay on long enough for you to mark your holes to drill, and then you can take it off. You want to use your smallest drill bit to begin, but before you start drilling, you need to mark it with a punch so that you're not walking around on the metal. I have this punch, which I'll use. Line up the center of the punch, give it a tap with a hammer, mark the next hole. Just make sure you've got it centered on the hole so your holes will line up when you get them drilled. Give the next one a tap, go to the third hole, mark it, give it a tap, and you're good to go. You don't need the template anymore. You can take that off and drill your holes. So use your smallest drill bit to drill your pilot holes. Once those are done, you switch to your 13/64 drill bit, re-drill the holes. Once those are done, you're ready to mount the lid. But before you do mount the lid, you want to check the back side of your holes and see if there's a burr on it. If there is, you want to use a deburring tool. I have this one, which you take, stick it in the hole, turn it around a couple times, and that will clean the burr off of the hole like so. Just do that on all 3 holes till you get rid of the burrs. Then you're ready to mount the lid. So you take the lid, you stick the 2 bottom legs into the bottom holes. Make sure you have the jar off, by the way, so you're not interfering with the legs. Push the top leg into the hole. You need to do it easy. Don't push too hard. You don't want to snap that off. Get that in there, and there you go. Ready to stick the jar on. So you take the jar, make sure it has plenty of room, stick it on, screw it all the way in. No problem. Now you're ready to connect the hose. To mount the hose, you want to have your shell plate all the way up and make sure you have just a little bit of slack so that the hose isn't tight. Cut it to length and stick it on. When you stick it on, you want to give it just a little bit of a counterclockwise twist just so that the hose will coil as you lower the shell plate instead of kinking. You may want to play with it just a little bit to get the hose to coil just right once you've installed it. The instructions that come with it tell you not to turn the hose once you've installed it onto the funnel because you'll break the funnel. The answer to that is just to loosen the screws that hold the funnel on and turn the funnel, not just the hose. So you can turn that until you get it where you want it. Once you get it where you want it, you can snug those screws back up, but remember, don't tighten them down too much. You don't want to bend the bracket that's holding that funnel on. Now we're ready to test it out, so let's see how this thing works.
There we go. Works perfect. And there you have it. Two new primer chutes. No more primers on the floor. Excellent. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel. This is only the 4th episode of the Workbench tutorial. I'll have a whole list of things to do as I have time to do them. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.